Welcome back. So starting from now on, we are going to be using the demo account to work with real data and build some real expertise. Now in this lecture, we're going to get more comfortable with the navigation in Google Analytics. So let's start from the very beginning. The first thing we have is going to be our home, and the home is an overview over all of the data that we have. All of the data that you can find here already exists within the reports, but more in depth. So generally, this can be nice to get an overview, but the real data is going to be found in the reports. So moving to the top, we can find our accounts up here. And just like before, we can access the demo account here. And we can also go back to our account right here, which is in this property. If we had multiple websites, we would find them in here. We can also go from Google Analytics directly into Google Tag Manager right here by clicking here and going into the setup property. And then we have Analytics Intelligence, and in here, this is the AI for Google Analytics. You can ask pretty much any question in here about your data and get a proper summarized reply right away. So for example, I could write, what are my top countries by traffic? Now by clicking here, I'm going to get that data summarized right here. And this is incredible because it saves us so much time and effort whenever we have any question on top of our mind, or there is some data we're looking for that we're not able to navigate around in the reports. Now we could also ask, what are my top countries by traffic last month? And then click here. You can see that there's a new date set here now, and we get a different response. So this is an amazing way to access a summarized version of whatever data that it is that you're looking for by simply putting the request up here. By making sure you have the guidebook downloaded, you can hover over into the contents, the index, go down to Google Analytics, and starting with traffic, you are going to get over 100 analytics intelligence questions that you can ask and get information from right away. So for example, what are the top traffic sources for my website? I can just copy this, head back in, remove this, paste it in, search for the insight symbol here. Sometimes it's further down, click, and then we're gonna get the data. We can see it's Google and then direct traffic, some undefined, and then the Chinese search engine Baidu, etc. So for all of the upcoming lectures on traffic, on locations, on demographics, they're all going to have a bunch of questions included that you can ask Analytics Intelligence. Moving on to the right, we can access different marketing platform here. We have Analytics and Tag Managers, so very similar to accessing them from here. We have the Helps tab, though don't think you're going to have any easy access to get any live support from Google. That is indeed rare. Then we have this button to get a tour, but that is really my job in here, so we're not going to need it for now. And then we can access our account. We can add in multiple accounts. So for example, if you have different Google Analytics accounts that are connected to different Gmails, you can just add in your Gmail in here and access that account by logging into that Gmail. Moving over to the left, we're going to go down to reports, and reports is really where you have all of your data collected. This is honestly where you're going to be spending 99% of your time, and this is where we are going to be deep diving. So starting off with the snapshot, a snapshot is just that we get an overview of all of the data that we have here, but all of this data is already available deeper down in the acquisition, engagement, monetization, and retention, and we're going to dive into those in the upcoming lectures. Moving down to real time. Now, real time is amazing when it comes to testing out your tracking like we have been doing in the previous lectures. They're also amazing to see your product launches. And when I say see your product launches, I'm not talking about the joy of seeing a bunch of traffic coming to your website. I'm talking about getting direct feedback. For example, if you're launching a product through your email campaign and you notice that there's no people coming in, chances are there's something wrong with the email. It didn't send out properly. By using the real-time section here and keeping an eye on your traffic spike, you can make sure that everything works properly. So moving down, we have the so-called life cycle, and this is where it gets really interesting. The life cycle is what exactly is a user doing when they land on your website? What is the entirety of that data of the user's behavior? Let me know everything, and you will. So starting off here, the first one is about acquisition. How did the user find your website? Then engagement. What did the user do on your website? Then monetization. Did they purchase anything? What did they purchase and for how much? And then retention. Where did they stay and why did they stay there? And of course, for how long did they stay? So starting off, we're going to move into acquisition. Now, the first thing we have is the acquisition overview. is going to give us two variants here. We have users and new users. So users are basically people who come to your website who have visited the website before. So if I land on your website for the first time, that is called a new user. The second time I land on your website, that is just known as a user. So this way we can see how much new and fresh traffic we're getting compared to returning traffic. In here, we're also going to see how our marketing channels are doing. Are we getting a lot of direct traffic, organic traffic? What about advertising? Where is the high quality traffic coming from? That is really going to be our job, finding which traffic is the most valuable. Where are they coming from and how can I get more of them? And exactly what high versus low quality traffic is, we're going to talk more about in the next lecture. Moving over to engagement and going into overview. Now, engagement is all about what did they do on your website? Did they sign up as a lead? Did they purchase anything? Did they read your blog article? Did they scroll around? Did they read more than one page? Did they bounce, meaning they came in and just left right away? Where did they stay the longest? Which sites do they like the most? Which sites do they like the least? Did they play any videos? All of that information about all of the engagement we are going to be looking at here. And that is going to show us which parts of your website that are working and which that aren't working. So we can improve or remove those that aren't working and do more of that is working. Moving into monetization and going into overview. So this is of course the very fun part, because here we can see how much money we are making because we connected it to WooCommerce. Super important to realize that when we're looking at low versus high quality traffic here, we're looking at which traffic is the most likely to purchase from us. So again, we might have 1,000 users from organic traffic and 1,000 users from advertising traffic. But we might notice that we have 400% more purchases from organic traffic. Well, that means that we're going to want to focus our efforts on organic traffic. We're going to look much deeper into this, but the monetization section is super important. And then moving down to retention. And the question is, how long did they stay on your website? How good were you at retaining those customers? Now, when we're talking about retention, we're not only talking about did they stay 30 seconds or 3 minutes on your website, but also did they return to your website and do they keep returning? So for example, here we have something called user retention by cohort. And cohort basically means that there's a collection of data all put into one so-called cohort. And what we're looking at here is a certain amount of people returning to our website. So we know that when it comes to user retention, looking down here, day 0 means 100%. Of course, every single user has visited our website at some point, but how many of those users return? By scrolling up here, we can see on different days that on day 1, 5.1% actually returned to the website again. On day 7, 0.8% returned to the website again. This is a good way to see how many people are actually coming back to our website. And the value of that is of course going to depend on your niche as well, but it is some seriously good data, and we can also see how they're performing on different dates. So we can see, for example, a Thursday here has a day 1 of 5.3%, while at Friday we have 2.9%, almost half of the data on returning day 1 customers on Friday compared to that Thursday. Now again, what that means and what we can do with that data, all of that we will learn in the upcoming lectures. So that is the entire life cycle of all of your users, how you acquire them, what they're actually doing on your website, if they're buying anything, and if they're staying and returning. And then we have some more direct user information. First, we have the demographics. If I go into overview, we literally get the overview of the entire demographics. So when we're talking about demographics, we're talking about what gender are they, what age span are they, what are their location, what interests do they have, all of this important demographic information. Moving down, we also have the tech. We can go into overview. Now the tech is just like it sounds. Did they come to your website through a mobile, through a tablet, through a desktop? Are they using an Apple product or an Android product or a PC or a Linux? What tech are they using? And then we're going to learn how we can best use that information to improve our website and improve our marketing strategy. And then moving to the left, we have the next tab, which is Explore. This is some more advanced tab where you can create your own columns, and we're going to go ahead and actually do that in an upcoming lecture. And finally, we have advertising. And the advertising channel will show you literally how all of your ads are performing, whether they're from Google Ads or you're using any other form of ads campaign. You can compare them and know where you should be spending the most of your budget if you decide to use advertising. So that is the navigation of Google Analytics 4. Now, don't worry about feeling confused about all of this. We're going to deep dive into the different sections here, and you are going to get so much more comfortable just in the upcoming lectures. In the next lecture, we're going to start all the way from the back and look at our traffic and dissect it properly and learn from it to improve our marketing strategy. See you in the next lecture.